Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So ColourPop finally shipped all their stuff because of quarantine and everything that was going on. They were like shut down, and I finally received all my stuff in the mail, and I was pretty excited because when the Making Mauve's collection launched, I was actually not able to get it the first time. So I just got it in the mail, and I kind of wanted just to play with it and see how the collection was. So I have all my base done. I'm going to run through real quick what I used. I used a little bit of the Milk Cosmetic Cooling under my eye. I used the Maybelline Master Prime. This is the Hydrate and Smooth. And then I also used a little bit of the e.l.f. Poreless Putty as my primers. For foundation, I did end up also picking up during quarantine, because I did a lot of quarantine shopping, the Pretty Fresh by ColourPop. This is in Light 5N, and this is the tinted moisturizer. I really liked it, but unfortunately I'm not just like running errands, which is what I got this for. I got it for like kind of like my everyday like no makeup looks, but I have plans tonight, so I'm getting all ready. So because it was so light, which the color match was actually surprisingly decent, but because it was such light coverage, I did add a little bit of the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind foundation in the shade 130 Buff Beige. I really like this. As you can see, I'm getting pretty low. And then for concealer, I also tried the Pretty Fresh by ColourPop, and that was in shade Light 60N, but honestly, it's a little bit dark for me. And that's the only bad thing about shopping online when it comes to like foundations and concealers, is you don't really know exactly what shade you'd be. So this, I think I could layer up on top of, like, if I'm using a light to medium coverage foundation and I just want to cover up like little spots, I could probably get away with this shade, but for under my eyes it's too dark. So instead, for concealer, I use three. I used, for under my eyes and all my highlighting, I used the e.l.f. I used the Hydrating Camo Concealer, and then the 16-Hour Camo Concealer in Medium Peach and Fair Rose. And then to cover up any extra spots that I had, I used the e.l.f. Hydrating in Medium Peach. So just to try to like get any extra spots kind of covered. And of course then used my Jeffree Star setting powder in shade Rose. Love this. For contour, I used a little bit of the Fenty Cream Bronzer and Butter Biscuit. I'm literally obsessed with this. And then on top of that, I used a little bit of, I did also pick up during quarantine the ColourPop Coconut Beach pressed bronzer, and it's actually, I thought it was going to be a lot more cool toned, but it's actually really not that bad. So I was pleasantly surprised with this as well. I don't have any highlighter on because the first item in the Mauve collection is blush. So we have two here. We have in Catch My Vibe and Coast to Coast. So the first shade, ooh, that's really nice, is this very nice kind of neutrally pink, which I'm super into that. And then what is this shade? And this one is a little bit more purpley, but as we realized from my Sephora try on, I actually kind of like the pinky purpley because it kind of turns out a little bit different than what I expect. So I think first we're gonna dip into Catch My Vibe, which is the more pinky shade, and then we kind of will go from there. Something I noticed, because I've never tried ColourPop blush and bronzers apart from that palette that I made, is it's a little bit more pigmented than I expected. So I just kind of want to look like I'm a little bit burnt. Ooh, yeah, this side I dipped in a little bit too much. So what I'm gonna do is just take my brush I use for my setting powder and just kind of hone it down a little bit. So on camera it's, oh no, on camera it looks okay. So I want to very gently dip into this purple one, which is the Coast to Coast. And I mean, I dipped once. I actually don't mind this color either. I think both of them are really great. And again, I'm just gonna kind of hone that out too. So we're looking really nice and rosy and burnt, which is kind of what I was going for. It's so funny because like I was going back through like my old videos, and for a while I hated blush and I quit wearing it altogether, but now like I'm kind of obsessed. And I'm gonna throw on some highlighter really quick. And I think I'm gonna try a little bit of, this is Part of Your World by ColourPop. This is the Super Shock Cheek Pearlized in the Disney collection. I'm gonna try a little bit of this. I've tried this before, but I just kind of wanted to go through my makeup and see what I haven't used in a while. And I kind of have some tried and true or like recent highlighters that I'm obsessed with, like the Wet n Wild Bretman Rock one. And I just kind of want to use different stuff because I have so much, like so many different products that never get touched. And then I find out like I have some old favorites that I need to like start dipping back into. Like this is actually pretty freaking nice. Okay, all right. Yeah, I'm good with that. I actually grabbed several highlighters and set them next to me in case I didn't love this one, but this was good. I'm gonna have to start reaching for this one again. I like that. Okay, I see you, ColourPop. Before we get into the eyeshadows, I'm gonna prime my lids again, like always, with the MAC Paint Pot in Painterly. It's honestly my favorite eyeshadow primer, at least for right now, because unfortunately I kind of do go through phases of products of what I really like and what I'm kind of over, I guess. I don't know. But I feel like if I really didn't like something, I would just get rid of it. Unless it was expensive and then maybe try it again. I don't know. Alright, so my eyelids are all nice and primed. We have two different items from the Mauve collection. We have the Mauve palette, which is just called Making Mauves. And it is, I'm really into this like purple aesthetic. And yep, I already knew I would. But I love all these colors. I feel like they lean a little bit more on the purple side, but there are definitely some pinks. And then it also has a Super Shock Shadow Duo. Let's look at these colors so I can plan my look. And we have a shade just called, oh, the shade's called Day Trippin'. And that's a pretty nice pinky shade. Definitely a lot of glitter in there, like that. And then a shade called Bloomer, which is a purpley shade with definitely a bunch of glitter. So I think if I were, well, let's start the look and then we'll kind of see and go from there. So like I always do, I always start with a lighter color, and I'm going to first dip into this shade called R&R, which is up in this corner here. It's kind of like a, I don't know, what do I call this? Like a brownie, gray, pinky purple. I don't know, it's kind of a little weird. So when I pick it up on my brush, let me show you. There's definitely some pigment there. It's not doing a lot, it's doing the smallest bit, but I guess that's kind of what I aim for when I do my first initial shade anyways. So I'm not necessarily upset by that. Next I'm going to take a little bit of Big Moves, which is this shade up here, and it's really similar to R&R, but it's more purpley, and that one picks up definitely better. Yeah, and I can see that shadow on my eyelid, like I can see a lot more like deposit. Okay, not bad. Again, they're just kind of light shades, which is kind of, so next I think I'm gonna dip into a little bit of Solitaire, which is the middle top shade, which is just kind of like a nice perfect mauve almost right here. I'm gonna put that in my crease first, and then we will kind of go from there. And I'm just kind of being really gentle and try not to get too high. So this shade definitely is a little bit, maybe not. I was gonna say it's a little bit darker than what I expected, but honestly, maybe not. Maybe it's exactly the shade. Okay. It definitely gave my crease a little bit more dimension, so I mean, I'm not really upset about it. Next, I'm going to take a little bit of, let's do Tongue Tied, which is this bottom shade here. And it's kind of a, more of a brownie mauve, or brownie purple, I guess. And I do have a mirror sitting here also, so I wasn't just doing those first shades like blind. And I'm just kind of tapping that in the outer corner of my eye. There's definitely fallout, which I'm not surprised because there was definitely fallout in the pan. That doesn't really bother me. I know it bothers some people. The only time it bothers me if it ends up ruining my makeup look, like from me having too much fallout on my face. So that definitely did something. I definitely will have some final thoughts on this at the end, so stay tuned for that. I think what I'm going to do next is take I think I want to play with one of these Super Shock. Let's take a little bit of the pink one, which is Day Trippin'. And I'm going to put that from the inner corner to about like 2/3 on my lid. I remember that I really like the Super Shock because they're like so creamy and super pigmented, and they're pretty nice. The one ColourPop collection that I really want that I've yet to get my hands on is the Mulan one, and I'm just like waiting for that to come back in stock. And I know it's probably going to be a little bit just because like everything is finally reopening, and the fact that like I finally got my order from March, like I'm not really holding my breath because I know it's going to take like forever. If you hear a child crying, that would be my lovely neighbors upstairs. Super into the Super Shock. Like, this is fan freaking tastic. Has just the right amount of glitter and shimmer, and yeah, I love that shade. A++. So yeah, I'm into it. I'm gonna take a little bit of Bi-Coastal, which is this shimmer shade here, and in the camera it looks dark, but it is the lightest in the palette. It does have it's a more of a like duochrome aspect, which is a little bit, I feel like, I don't know, I guess I see pink and purple, but also, I don't know. I'm just kind of putting this, yeah, I figured. And I feel like with a lot of just like duochromes or metallics, doesn't really matter what brand, but they just need a little bit of setting spray to intensify them when they go on the lid. But I do have a whole like Make Your palette by ColourPop that are nothing but like glitters and shimmers, and it's beautiful. So that's kind of what I wanted. I feel like it has a very similar, oh no it doesn't, never mind. I was gonna say it's very similar to the Super Shock, but not really, because it's a little bit more bright. But that's probably the setting spray, where if I'd given the Super Shock a little bit of setting spray, it probably would have done the same. So yeah, that's exactly what I want. Perfect! Yay! Next, I'm going to dip back into, honestly it doesn't really matter, but I'm going to dip a little bit back into the Big Mauves, which is one of those first light shades. And I'm going to just buff these edges just to blend them a little bit better. Okay, I'm going to dip a little bit back into the R&R, which is the even lighter shade. I feel like for my eyes, I definitely don't have as much eyelid space as some people do, and I do have hooded eyes as well, which kind of sucks, but I make do. And then I'm going to dip a little bit back into Tongue Tied, which is that brown shade, brownie shade we had, and just kind of blend that outer corner. And then I'm going to dip just the smallest bit back into Bi-Coastal and kind of brighten up center again, just because I don't want it to completely get lost. Okay, yeah. I definitely like the way that these eyes look. I love this Super Shock. This Super Shock is fantastic, and honestly, I'm just kind of going through, I have like a loose eyeshadow drawer where like they're not palettes, or just kind of singles, and I have all my Disney ones still, and I'm just seeing, this is a jelly. What's this one? This is a Super Shock jelly. I think that all of the princess ones are Super Shocks, and then the villains are jellies. But like, I need to use these more apparently, because I'm kind of obsessed with how good that is. Like, yeah, I have plenty of colors I could play with. Alright, so I'm into both of those. I'm into the Super Shock, like, oh my god, this is, found a new fave for sure. I'm gonna quickly do some mascara, eyeliner, and brows, and then we'll be back to try the lips. Alright, so because I got so excited by that Super Shock, I forgot to do my inner corner brow bone and under my eyes. So really quick, I took a little bit of Big Mauves and did it completely under my eye, and then I took a little bit of the Tongue Tied and did it about halfway, starting from my outer corner to about my pupil. And then I took again the Bi-Coastal, which was that shimmer shade we used, and did it on my brow bone and inner corner. For eyeshadow, for eyeliner, I used the ColourPop Cream Gel Liner in shade Crybaby, which is a nice like lilac-y light purple. And then I use the Anastasia clear brow gel just because my brows are still kind of a mess and I don't do a whole lot as far as coloring wise because I don't want them to look too bold and crazy. And then for mascara, I again use the Wet n Wild Bretman Rock in the Bad Bitch Lift, which is kind of like one of my new faves. And all we have left are lip now. So we have two glosses, it looks like, and these are in shade Check-In and Big With It, and they look pretty similar. I don't know how it's gonna pick up on camera. Yeah, they look really similar. So the top one is a little bit more purpley and the bottom one is a little bit more pinky, I guess. So I'm gonna do a little bit of Check-In and see. Oh, it's gloss. It smells like cinnamon and fruity and vanilla and fig. It smells really nice. I actually am pretty into that because it's just a little bit of smallest bit of color and some shimmer. It is a little sticky, but nothing too bad. So let's kind of go over the collection really quick. The blushes, I like both of these. They are very nice. I think I like the more pinky one better, which was Catch My Vibe. But again, the purpley one was actually pretty nice. And I was very like pleasantly surprised. So I enjoy both of these. The eyeshadow palette, so I'm gonna start this off. I love the way that my eyes look right now. I think I wouldn't have loved the way my eyes look as much if I didn't have this Super Shock. These Super Shocks, I've been sleeping on this. This is so nice. It's not even funny, and I can't wait to try the purple too sometime. But the palette, I feel like the colors definitely look different in the pans, but the way that they perform on the eye are very, very similar. And so unfortunately, I don't know if this will be a palette I will necessarily reach for often. I feel like ColourPop has such a good formula and so many other colors in different palettes that are very similar but better. Like I really like my Going Coconuts one, all the browns. I really like the Sailor Moon one. That one was perfect, besides the mishap that I had. I really enjoyed the peach one when it comes to game day for Hawkeyes. I really like the yellow themed one. I just feel like ColourPop has so many other 9-pan palettes that are a little bit better than this, unfortunately. As much as this is definitely a good palette, and when it comes to doing a more like mono colored look, meaning like, I think I'm saying that right, meaning like you go for like all the same type of shades, I don't mind this, but they all look very similar, so I don't love this one. The glosses, I mean, they're both colors that are right up my alley. One's a little bit more purpley than the other, but I mean overall they smell so nice. So I would probably reach for those again for sure. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of my take on all the products. I really enjoy ColourPop products, and I definitely like them because they are so affordable and they have a lot of choices. I would definitely recommend them. And I rediscovered a highlighter that I really like, and the bronzer that I tried like for the first time today, the Going Coconuts one, was really nice. But overall, if you were to get any of this collection, the glosses wouldn't be bad, the blushes aren't bad if you're kind of into that, which use a very light hand, and the Super Shocks are A++. The palette is what I'm kind of on. I mean, of course I wanted to try it, but I think I would want to do a more purpley and darker look, because there's definitely kind of like two ways you could go with it, like the more way that I went or a little bit darker, and that would be something I'd be curious on. That's it for today. I've got so many more videos coming, it's not even funny. I have almost all my products from Ulta, so that haul will be coming. I have all of my summer clothes that I got, so that will be coming. My athletic kind of workout one is still in the works. I'm still waiting on a few products there. I have skincare, hair care, first impressions, you name it, I've got it. So I've got so much to come, and I've been very motivated, and I'm really proud of myself, so I'm trying to stay on this train and keep it going. So turn that bell on, like this video. All my socials are linked down below. Comment any other video ideas that you'd like to see, or any other product launches and reviews and that type of thing. That's kind of what I really enjoy doing most, is like reviews, because I know I personally as a consumer, if something is really great, I want to know, because I'm probably will get it. Or if it's not great, I want to know, so then that way I'm not wasting my money. So let me be that for you. But I'm trying to slow down on too many crazy purchases just because I spent a little bit too much on during quarantine, and this was one of my quarantine purchases because I got it right when like everything started. That's why I didn't ship right away, which is totally fine and understandable, and I'm not even upset because normally ColourPop ships like pretty great. So like this was an exception that I'm going to give a pass on and say nothing negative on, because I would rather them be completely shut down and look out for their customers and employees and everything over getting stuff sent out right away. So I'm totally on board with what they did, and I think they did it very well. So that's all I've got for today. I'm rambling again. Till next time, guys.